Um, Stefano, I mean, to be very honest with you, it may be I mean, if you look at it short term, probably yes. I think in the long term, the answer is going to be no.
Nice. So, Behzad, thanks so much for accepting our invitation and for being with us.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you for inviting me.
So we will act in this way. During our conversation, Marco, creative director of Tecnografica, will live hand draw in order to get the conversation even more interesting.
And sure, that's nice.
This is let's say the format that we decided to organize during this time.
Great.
So how is everything? You're slowly, step by step, starting to get back to normal, or it will take some time?
I think it's going to take still some time. We're still in a trial and error phase in India where we're opening and then withdrawing certain relaxations. So we're hoping that things will start opening up a bit sooner because I think everybody is now desperate to get back to work.
Oh yeah, that was the same situation in Italy. We actually started this week to get back to work, basically, and bars and restaurants reopened on Monday.
So wow, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I hope this will be the same in India in a few weeks.
I hope so too.
It's a very strange situation, and this is also why we are organizing this podcast, interviewing several players and professionals from all over the world, from different countries, to understand how they are facing this situation and how their work has been affected by this situation. But before starting, I'd like you to give a description of yourself, to tell us exactly what is your job and your profession.
Sure. So, Stefano, I run a company called the BNK Group. We have 3 verticals of business. The first vertical is consultancy for high-end interiors and private villas. In interiors, we predominantly do residential and hospitality interiors. We do hotels, large private villas, luxury apartments. Our second division is our design and build division, where we design and execute projects. And of last year, we started a new B2B vertical where we're purely into build, that is contracting for other designers as well. So essentially, our forte and strength now is more into execution and contracting and delivering good design projects and which are value engineered. Overall, it's been a great journey for us because I came to Bombay about 13 years ago and started from absolutely zero. And yeah, we're doing about $3-4 million of business every year.
Congratulations! It's always very inspiring to see how entrepreneurs starting from scratch are able to start a company which actually makes a good turnover and money. Yes. And how is this situation affecting your business and your projects?
Well, frankly, I think there is a positive and a negative side to the situation, if you honestly ask me. I like to focus on the positives. The positives is that it took a virus to bring the entire human race together. The second positive is that for people like me who are constantly on their phones, who are constantly addressing issues over WhatsApp or telephone, who are constantly addressing to clients, subcontractors, etc. it just broke the entire chain. It gave me a lot of time to myself, to my thoughts. It helped me to think of new business strategies, think of ways to uh, develop probably some new skill sets. Uh, of course, everybody's been talking about work from home and stuff like that. And when you have a lot of staff who don't have large homes, who have multiple people living in smaller homes, it becomes very difficult for them to actually focus on work while they're at home. And when you're in a domestic environment, to actually sit and focus on work becomes very difficult to deliver and to coordinate. So work for home uh, probably has worked maybe 25% for us compared to what other people, maybe let's say in the IT industry, would have achieved. Uh, what do we forecast for the future? Well, actually, there are, for a designer, I think there are three goals to be set. One is a short-term goal, mid-term, and obviously the long-term. I think in the short term, you're going to see cash flows being hit. Few projects may be pushed behind. Um, However, on the plus side, positive side, there are a lot of buildings and structures which are being delivered by developers across Mumbai and across most urban cities, where clients are getting possession of the apartments. So that work influx will definitely help sustaining the short-term cycle. I believe there is going to be a rebound in retail and food and beverage industry. Essentially, you see, people are going to uh, have been been squeezed like a spring and been pushed like a spring, and they're ready to spring back up. So people will definitely want to go out. People will definitely want to go to a shopping mall or to a plaza or to go or to have dinner together. I think we're all waiting to meet each other again physically. So definitely there will be some spending there, and that I believe will happen, unlike what other people do say. Yes, your travel industry has been hit, so obviously, and the hospitality industry has been hit. So you will see uh, certain issues there. But I think projects which were ongoing will definitely be ongoing.
Mm.
Uh, Projects which were supposed to be started may get pushed a little behind, but eventually you see uh, situations like these, like for example, when the Gulf War happened, uh, and I can speak uh, uh, for myself because I used to be based in the Gulf as a child. And when the first Gulf War happened and I came back to India, my parents still stayed in the Gulf. Uh, People just evolve over time. So time is the biggest healer, is what I personally believe in. And I think everything is going to come back to normal. It's just that your uh, I think everybody needs to have a positive mindset, uh, and that will actually push everything to start rolling easily again. You know, Rather than, I think off late we've been attending so many webinars and Zoom meetings and
Yeah,
hearing so many.
too many maybe.
Yeah. So, I've actually made, so I was invited once and I said, like, I think everybody on every panel discussion or every webinar, I think every human being has become an astrologist, you know.
Yeah.
So, everybody started to predict about the future. And it's a very funny situation. And I personally believe that, yes, while numbers and financial people do crunch, and they envisage a certain scenario, and probably that's why they create that negative sentiment in the market. But actually, if you honestly ask me, uh, if everybody thought that it's a 2 month holiday that everybody has been into, okay, large corporations, people like me, we've made profits years in all these years that we've been working. And I find it very strange that if in just 2 months, companies are filing for bankruptcy, and
Yeah.
so fundamentally, probably they went wrong much more before coronavirus came in. with their business strategies or business plans. And Corona just tried to tumble up that effect exponentially. That's all. So I think this is a time which I believe is a great opportunity. I think we should look at it in a much more positive way and not focus too much on the negativity that's been surrounded all across it. I know people have died. I know it's a very serious situation. Um, but at the end of the day, I think, like every problem, like every act of terrorism, like if you've seen history, I think people are resilient. Perseverance is something which is a quality that we all have to imbibe, and we will surely overcome it much more sooner than people uh, have forecasted it for.
This is what I'm thinking as well in the last lately, let's say in the last couple of days, since we start to reopen some things again, and
Yes,
even after 2 months of lockdown, when people meet together, of course they are now a bit more distant than before, but step by step, day by day, they will start again to act
yes.
before. And but in your opinion, what are the most important opportunities that a company should take during this time?
I think the biggest takeaway that, like the very first step that we've taken actually, uh, is to hire new talent actually. Okay, talent acquisition at an affordable cost is something uh, is going to happen uh, immediately. So good talent uh, is going to come your way, and the question is that if you have your cash flows in place, that is something that you should definitely look at taking up so that you can build your company further. Um, um, well, it is a sad situation, and also for probably a larger corporation, that smaller corporations may uh, burn out, okay, and may get merged into larger corporations. So that is another
Mm.
opportunity. I think, uh, in India, another plus that I believe has happened is that a certain segment of clientele have started accepting virtual uh,
Mm.
meetings, But I still find it very difficult to converse and convince a customer across a Zoom meeting rather than actually meeting face to face and trying to believe in face to face human communication. Um,
Even because,
while
sorry if I interrupt you, but it's also interesting to know that a Zoom meeting or a Zoom conversation, despite of what people might think, it's definitely less intimate than a phone call, for example.
um, agreed. So, I would always like, for example, when like we're all hooked onto, let's say, WhatsApp, you know, and if a client, for example, if I want to ask money for a client from a client, I would not call him up, and I would probably leave a WhatsApp message or a text message, um, but I think uh, when you text, you're not conveying the right emotion. When you're speaking over the phone and not seeing the person, it still doesn't convey the right emotion. um, at least with Zoom or video calling, there is still some emotional quotient in the conversation because you're seeing that other person across the screen. Uh, and you're right, intimacy in the conversation does come when you're actually face to face with that person, and that is very critical, especially when you're talking about subjects like design, per se. And for example, a person in an IT industry or into the finance industry will find it much more easier to work on a video call rather than meeting face to face. But eventually, I believe that even in when you want to crack a large deal, most of these financial corporations do want to meet face to face to break the ice, to break the barrier, to interact, to meet. That's very, very important.
Yeah,
Informal lines of communication is actually what breaks the barrier or the ice between two people. you know. So that's what helps when you're actually meeting that person face to face.
agree. Especially if you are dealing with important contracts or
Yes.
million-dollar deals. it's very important
Yes,
to build trust between the parts. Maybe
absolutely.
even just simply going out and eat something in the restaurants and get to know each other
Correct.
better.
Right. Right.
So, and in terms of how India is keeping up with this situation, what do you think about the, let's say, digital revolution, which is going on and was already going on before
Mm.
COVID-19? So, let's say the massive use of social media
Zoom.
and digital
Yeah.
technologies.
So, while social media is an active marketing tool to show your presence in the market, okay, um, uh, I think uh, what is nice about in some the one takeaway that I would take from all this webinar and Zoom interaction and Zoom or similar platforms is we've had a lot of vendor meetings with the entire staff happening at one time, which otherwise was not possible. Otherwise, what would happen is most new companies would call me directly or message me through somebody and want to meet me and not the staff, and would want me to see all their products and understand their products. Whereas here, what happens is that the entire team of 20, 30 designers are on the same platform, they're listening to the same guy. So everybody is digesting information at the same time. And that is something that I felt worked as an effective tool during this lockdown period, is where product awareness uh, is not just limited to my information uh, and to my knowledge, is spread across the entire organization at one time, and that makes it more effective. So if you ask me one change in our office regime that we would be probably doing is probably dedicate half a Saturday to get a vendor to present over a virtual platform. uh, it's not necessary that even if I'm at, let's say, in a different location, my associates are in different locations, their team members are sitting in the office, everybody comes onto that Zoom call and understands that particular product for that particular day. And that, I think, is a good educative tool, uh, self-educative tool. That's something that uh, probably we didn't explore earlier, and it took a virus to uh, uh,
To
teach
actually
us.
yeah, to actually teach us how to
So
do this.
it's like a philosophical thing that adversity teaches you many things, and it takes you in a direction which you probably never thought of. That's the power of adversity. You know, when you're
Definitely.
in an adverse situation, you start thinking out of the box.
Even because this is the very first
Mm,
global situation that everybody
mm,
is living at the same time with the use of
yes,
social media, so we can share
yes,
with everybody what is going on. Because of course, even for example in 1918, when there was the Spanish flu,
correct.
which was similar to this one in some kind of way, but
Yes,
there were no social media, there was no internet. So
yes,
people didn't know actually what was going on in US or in India or in Europe at the same time. Well, today we can actually see this, and this is the very different thing between this
right,
pandemic and every pandemic that has been
correct. True,
in place.
true,
And
true.
that is interesting. So, as you said before, in your opinion, after a few weeks, few months, people will start to act again
Normal. Yes,
normal.
yes.
But what
It
is
is.
in your opinion that will
Sorry.
remain after this? If there will be one thing that will remain after this situation that would be different from before.
You know, I just hope. I hope that humaneness prevails. I've been, I'm telling you, 15 years ago when I started my practice, and since the last couple of years, this last 2, 3 years, there has, and with the advent of WhatsApp and messaging tools, and with so much information on hand uh, uh, for everybody started expecting things faster. Okay, and in that, everybody lost count of what is actually valuable in life. We never believed in balance of work and home, for example, or let's say work and family for that matter. We didn't care for, let's say, the people who worked on our projects, whether it is the construction workers or whether it is our subordinates, colleagues, staff, etc. Everything probably was looked as a transactional value. Okay. Uh, I just hope that people value uh, not. I mean, obviously you're valuing time, but most importantly is to value people. You know, as one big takeaway from this virus is if you understand the value of human life, the value of the people around you, the value of the people who've helped you grow in life, and if that remains as a constant, the world will be a very different place altogether. Um, the one thing that is definitely going to see uh, is obviously this great surge of uh, telecommunication and communication and the ease at which we are talking with one another, probably like probably doing an Italy based podcast was probably not thought of earlier, which we're doing probably today. So global interaction is something which is going to uh, definitely increase in times to come. uh, Earlier it used to be, for example, like we're a member of the Indo-Italian Chamber of Commerce as well. So every time any supplier from Italy would come down and they would come to our office and we would meet and we would understand the product, etc. And then they would go back and then communication would happen via email. Now with the advent of so much of video calling and multiple video calling, etc., I think those interactions will increase. And I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody globally when the lines of communication are much more open. Yeah.
Definitely, and also faster, because if you're
Yes.
organizing a Zoom meeting with 20 designers and one maybe
Yes.
representative of a manufacturer company, they will understand in half an hour
Absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely.
That is pretty
Absolutely.
interesting. You know, since we are talking to you today and seeing also your experience in the entrepreneurship field, I was curious about your opinion on how the Indian economy the Indian economy and the Indian economic system has changed.
Hmm.
For example, from when you started, from when you founded your company, and to today. What are the biggest changes?
Um, as
I know it's a pretty wide
no,
question.
um, so I'll just make it more easier to say that when you begin with, things are much more easier, you know, because you understand less.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So once you start understanding more about finance and you start understanding more about the business of design, okay, um, and things start taking a very different turn. Um, so if you see the Indian economic cycle from where it was, or globally, let's say even if you compare the prices of gold 15 years back and what they are today, okay, um, I think uh, every downturn, okay, and whether it is in real estate or whether it is in stock markets or whether it is in gold, my takeaway is to actually reinvest, okay, is to keep on investing, okay, not stop investing. To buy, uh, let's say, stock, or let's say gold, or let's say in mutual funds or whatever, the cycle of investment has to continue to bring the economy back onto its track. Okay. If you ask me, the most idealistic situation for any economy to restart, unfortunately, uh, governments have been, and the common people are saying that the government should put money straight away into our bank accounts. Okay. Uh, while the logic is right that okay, the logic is that people should continue spending. If you continue to spend, the economy will automatically start getting to rebound and again start circulating money. across each and every individual and every platform of business. Uh, to boost the ideology of spending, I think as a business owner, one is to probably, for let's say short term and mid term, cut down on your margin a little bit and push uh, and pick on projects to start your cash flows. I'm saying this for each and every business owner, not just for me as a designer, but for, let's say, a restaurateur or a owner of a cafe or forever, any business. Secondly, I think what the government actually should do is to relieve taxation for, let's say, 6 months to a year. So when I say direct and indirect taxes, so let's say GST, for example, right? I mean, today our services attract 18% GST. So people feel that if I'm going to spend 100 euros on Mr. Kharas's services, I'm going to pay 118 euros. Okay. So 18 euros is a big hit for me. I'm saying the government should say, okay, instead of 18, we're going to say 5%. Automatically people will say, fine, there's a huge saving. Let's go in. The cost of the product has gone down. The cost of the service has gone down automatically. This is where indirectly the government should actually come in to say that, okay, instead of doling out money to you, we're going to accept lesser money from you guys by taking in lesser taxes, direct taxes, indirect taxes, etc., to start the surge of spending. People are earning, people do want to spend, and people will spend. Okay, that is human nature. And the only thing is that to make the spending more affordable all across different uh, economic backgrounds is to, for the short term and mid term, reduce the taxation all across businesses everywhere, all across the globe, and you will just see the surge in spending happening, and it will, and the economy will rebound much more faster. So this is my personal feeling, rather than announcing loan packages for MSME segments or micro to small medium enterprises. It's not helping. People still have to, it's like, we're ready to offer you a loan which is without a collateral, is what the government is saying today. So people are not wanting to opt for a loan, thinking that how will I repay. Okay, so the mindset is different. The mindset is to spend. The mindset is not to think about how I'm going to repay. So I think there needs to be lateral shift of conceptual thinking by all governments to say, okay, we want the people of our country to keep on continue spending, to keep on buying, whether it is buying locally or internationally or whatever. I'm saying, if for any, like, post every slowdown that you see in business in any country, you say that they're in recession, etc., etc., etc. If you see and study, the recycle is only when spending increases is when the economy comes back to normalcy. So this is something that needs to happen. Unfortunately, human tendency is to say that, oh, I don't have money, how am I going to spend? Okay. A very funny example of this. So my son goes to an international school here in Bombay, and all of a sudden parents started saying that that the school should reduce the fees, and should, instead of taking the fees one time at the beginning of the year, they should allow us to pay every quarter, for example. So my answer to them is that if everybody starts thinking like this, okay, uh, where is the economy going to hit? So today I say, okay, simple thing, as a school, where is the school actually saving money when you're asking them to reduce the fee? Okay. They're not. They're paying for teachers to teach the kids online. They're maintaining the infrastructure at the school. They're paying. If you are not ready to pay, how are they going to pay salaries to teachers, to the bus drivers, to the janitors, to the cleaning staff? It's a cycle, you know. So if you stop, they're going to stop. When they stop, automatically people below them are going to stop spending. It's simple.
It's a domino effect on all the economic
Exactly.
system.
So it actually was a very funny situation, and I told the other parents that when you talk like this, it sounds so funny that just because 2 months there is no business, and because you're not getting in your payments in because everything is shut, Okay. Does it mean that you're not going to get payments further? Does it mean that for the next 1 year, you're not going to get any payment? You're not going to do any work? I said, look, you cannot talk like immature fools. I said, I mean, you're just talking nonsense. You have to pay, you have to spend, you have to give, and they will that money is automatically going to come back to you. It's like that. But this is what happens, most of these economists and these so-called big fancy agencies, rating agencies, etc., they predict a situation and they predict everything. I mean, if they were so good at predicting, then I'm sure they would all have been like multi-billionaires.
Yeah, exactly.
You,
Exactly.
you know, so it's wrong. So some way I find, to predict is to mislead. And I think I wish there were more people who would actually, talk about this and to push more positive energy, more positive influences that look, everybody, you need to keep on paying. You need to keep on paying your EMIs. You need to keep on paying your bills. You need to keep on paying your interest. You need to keep things going on. It's unfortunate that we think like this as human beings. So that's something. And then because we don't. I mean, tomorrow if we don't pay, as I said, like if you're not paying the school is not paying for its staff. Tomorrow they'll start chucking. Retrenching staff. The staff does. I mean, the poor bus driver doesn't have money. What is he going to do? He's going to look at probably getting into crime or probably trying to rob somebody. That's the next thing that probably you might know is going to happen. So it's a vicious circle.
I guess most people don't really understand this connection in terms of economics, and they just want simply avoid to pay today and pay tomorrow. But this will create.
I think that everybody just wants to capitalize on on the human nature of trying to save money for themselves and be as selfish as possible. I think that's wrong.
That is, and linking to this topic. Do you think that, for example, when we talk about the interior design field, that in the next future, Indian professionals and private clients as well will rely more on local suppliers than foreign manufacturers company like European ones? In your opinion?
Stefano, I mean, to be very honest with you, it may be if you look at it short term, probably yes. I think in the long term, the answer is going to be no. I think ideation, and when it comes to especially interior design, for example, Milan is the mecca for design for us, correct, across the globe. Okay. I think ideation comes from there. Okay. Inspiration comes from there. To reach out for local manufacturers to reach to international standards of production is still very difficult because our labor is not educated. Okay. Unlike the West, where even a civil a tile, the person who lays the tile is also educated to a certain level. Okay. Here, because of not having proper literacy levels, for them to understand machining, tooling, to achieve that fit and finish becomes very difficult. If you ask me personally, like 9 out of 10 projects, like all our furniture, lights, etc., are either manufactured here or then are sourced from China. Few of our projects, let's say 2 out of 10 projects, would probably being sourced from Italy, from vendors like Floss and Giorgetti and stuff like that. In fact, we were just handing over a product just before the lockdown started, and we were waiting for furniture and light fittings to come from Italy because the site was almost done and dusted. So clients who are under pressure to finish off a project soon will probably source locally, but a certain set of clients will continue to source from either Italy or from China or wherever they wish to source from. And that trend will not stop. Okay. Why will it stop is a question that you have to ask yourself. It's because people aspire for, one is that quality, fit, finish, and obviously the brand value that is attached to a particular product. So it's like, if you're saying that are people in India going to stop using BMWs and Audis and Mercedes and Ferraris and Lamborghinis? No, they're not. People aspire for it, and that aspiration will always be there. Okay. So as I said, yes, in the short term, people may not look at sourcing from there for various logistical reasons, but in the long term, it will again come back to where it was. Unless until, like there's a trade war agreement which happens with China, for example. Okay. Then yes, then the dynamics might shift. Okay. In fact, if that happens, it's a boon to probably players in, let's say, Europe, because automatically they're looking, or maybe even countries like India, where maybe Italian manufacturers want their OEMs to be in India instead of China, or let's say OEMs want to be in Bangladesh instead of China, for example, because of availability of good labor and let's say, when I say good labor means cost-effective labor in that matter. So yeah, I mean, probably sentiments against China are not so great. So you may see dependence on China being reduced. We're already seeing signs of industries being shifted out of China for various reasons. I think what was happening was that the manufacturing power capacity was all centralized in one location. That was probably, let's say, China, which will now slowly get decentralized, which is good for most of the other countries as well. I think that's also a plus sign to see. But definitely people, as I said, will continue to aspire for branded furniture and branded lighting and stuff like that. So I don't see it as although our government is saying that, you need to start looking at buying local products, etc., etc. So yes, I mean, as I said, 7 out of 10 times it will be that, or 6 out of 10 times it will be that, but there will be a certain niche, a certain segment that will say that no, this is a particular brand, this is a particular fit information, this is what I want, and they will ask for it. It's like that.
And now more than ever, companies have to really work on their brand, on the effectiveness on their brand.
If to be very honest, I think brands need to now focus on becoming a little cost effective. I think what Italy missed out on and what China achieved was the cost effectiveness. Okay, of a similar product, similar finished product.
Well, we have to thank our government for the taxes we have on our labor.
So that is exactly what I'm trying to tell you, Stefan, earlier as well. That instead of doling out cash into accounts, taking in lesser taxes, direct and indirect, is something that will really boost everybody up. Yeah. Really.
Definitely. And personally, are you coming to the 2021 Salone del Mobile exhibition in Milan next year?
So, Stefano, I'm a very honest and blunt guy. So I've been to, I get invited every year. Some vendor or the other wants me to come to Milan. Okay. I've been to Milan just once in this entire span of 15 years that I've been practicing as a designer. That was probably, I think, 4 years back, 4 or 5 years back. And that too, unfortunately, I could be there only for 4 days because my son fell ill and I had to immediately fly back. So definitely Milan fair is an overload of information. And it's a great platform to see, understand. Unfortunately, the segment of clients that I handle, Italian furniture, as I said, probably fits in 2 out of 10 clients. Okay. And there are obviously sourcing agents sitting in India who easily achieve those projects for us. We're very well updated by them with the latest catalogs of various suppliers in Italy, whether it comes from lighting to furniture to wardrobes to beds to you name it. And it's all available as a e-library with us. So what happens in Milan that I realize is that, it's while the first 2 days everybody's enthusiastic to see what's there in the fair, eventually turns out to be more of a social event.
Social encounters too, and
Yes, and then
and
there are
meetups.
parties and there are parties happening every month.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm a very introvert kind of person, and probably I don't fit into into that socializing segment, but uh, I definitely would look at coming to Milan in 2021. Um, the reason is to learn what you've adapted out of Corona virus situation, what you've adapted post the pandemic, uh, and to I think essentially to get inspired, to see the resilience, uh, to some way contribute and to stand by uh, the design community or in general uh, the industry per se, where you're actually there to kind of show sign of support, and also learn something new, and probably this time spend more time in Italy. And uh, like we
You know,
participate in the A Design Awards every year, which are based out of Italy, and I've never been there. Although we won awards, I've never been there. Come to probably Lake Como, wherever they host it every year, and be part of that part of those awards. But yes, I look forward to it.
this is what I was interested about, because I think next year, even people that maybe don't go to Milan every year to see the exhibition
Yes.
will go for several reasons.
Stefano, it is going to be a rebound. I'm telling you, all across. People have been pushed down like a spring, and they will all want to jump back up.
Yeah,
I'm sure 2021 will have the maximum numbers that the Milan Fair has ever seen.
Yeah. This is what I'm thinking as well, and it will be, I think, a very interesting exhibition compared to the previous ones, because there's been
in fact, they should
1 year
increase
leap.
the number of days as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there will be novelties that will come up better this time. So
Cool.
this is interesting, and understanding that and knowing that people from all across the planet will come to Milan next year. It is very also important to understand for the manufacturers company which are investing money in this exhibition, in these fairs.
Yes, I think my one message to all of you in Italy who are manufacturers is to one, uh, not to worry. People uh, are going to come back to you. All across the globe, people aspire for Italian products. Two, the only thing that they should get together and tell their government to, as you rightly said, reduce the taxation, help them recover.
This is just the first of many government problems in Italy, but definitely is one of them is this one. But let's see. I see that. Of course, the situation is difficult right now, but the government made some mistakes even in this situation, but it didn't act so bad. So let's say that all together.
I think we should just give benefit and of doubt, and also understand that nobody was prepared for this kind of a situation. So you just can't blame somebody for this situation. And just thank them for whatever and however much they've done.
Definitely. And especially Italy is a country composed, for example, differently from US or Germany or France, from a lot of small companies, small family business with 15 people, 20 people, 30 people, 5 people. And they are now the ones that are sustaining the economy at this very moment. So Italian manufacturing companies, which are having super high taxes, but still are the ones that are maintaining the economy, or that prevent the failure of the economies. But being forced to stop for 2 months is something that never happened before. So this is one of the most difficult situations I think that this country has ever lived, at least in the last 100 years. Same thing for India and for other countries. So this is also why, as you said, we are all in this together and we are living the same situations with small
Yes.
differences.
True.
Cool. Behzad, I mean, thanks so much for this. I don't want to keep you 2 hours in this conversation, even if I would. But it was very, very interesting, especially for our community, which is composed by architects, designers, professional, private clients, but also a lot of businessmen and businesswomen, women
Yes.
that can be inspired by your words and by your knowledge and experience.
Thank you so much, Stefano.
So we hope to see you soon in Milan, maybe next year,
Yes,
or in Bombay.
absolutely. We'd love to host you.
Cool. Behzad, thanks so much again.
Thank you. Thank
We'll be
you.
in
Take
touch.
care.
Bye.
Yes, take care and God bless. All the best.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Ciao. Ciao.